back to the second edition of the India Development Debate right here on ET Now. The battle over fake news seems to be getting murkier. WhatsApp, which is at the receiving end for not doing enough to curb the menace, is now accusing the government of deliberately delaying its payments bank license. Reports suggest that the IT Ministry has written to the RBI and the National Payments Commission raising questions about WhatsApp's data sharing practices. In fact, it is a very complicated debate involving technical and regulatory issues. The government insists that the messaging service owned by Facebook must comply with the localization norms before it gets a payments bank license. On the face of it, it may not seem a very unfair demand.
On its part, WhatsApp argues that tracing the original sender of a message would be an infringement of freedom of speech and expression. It also claims that WhatsApp messages are end-to-end encrypted and it is technically impossible to track users. The Modi government's data surveillance policy and what it means to the likes of WhatsApp, that's our topic of discussion tonight on the second leg of the India Development Debate. Joining us for this edition is Apar Gupta, Supreme Court lawyer and co-founder Internet Freedom Foundation; Nikhil Pava, founder, editor and publisher MediaNama.com; Aseem Jhakar, co-founder of Pay2; and Vineet Goenka, member and ex-national co-convener of the IT cell of BJP. Vineet, let me start with you. The government wanted WhatsApp to trace messages, saying it's not rocket science. WhatsApp has now said it can't do, it won't do, citing privacy concerns. What next?
Let us wait and see what the government reacts. Let the department discuss amongst ourselves also. But there is a concern. Why can't they have two-factor authentication for payments and can't comply with the rules of the country? I would request WhatsApp once again to comply with the Indian laws.
Okay. You would want WhatsApp to comply with Indian laws. Apar, I'll come to you. And maybe I think I'm going to take the same question with you to begin with, that, you know, you do this, otherwise no payments bank, adhere to localization. What must the government do? Should the government insist on, at this stage, for WhatsApp to localize, for WhatsApp to make it possible to trace back messages to origin? Because the privacy debate is very well made, and I am the biggest proponent of privacy. But there needs to be a line drawn, because look at the kind of incidents that are happening owing to the level of privacy being maintained, owing to encryption. What must the government's stance on this really be?
Yeah. So, I think the government should adopt a rule of law framework. Basically, what is the legal demand and what should be within that legal framework by itself, and step only within that framework of legality, not go beyond it. So what's been a little disturbing is that there have been statements which are coming at the ministerial level which seem to indicate a quid pro quo, in sense that you need to do this, otherwise we will not facilitate Y. And this indicates there's a level of discretion within government which goes much beyond the legal compliance which is necessary. Now let me also indicate what is the legal compliance which is necessary, which is what WhatsApp does need to do. So under the Information Technology Act, WhatsApp does qualify to be an intermediary. So it's not liable for the kind of content which is sent by you or me over WhatsApp if it responds to certain kind of court orders and government requests, and it needs to share certain forms of information, which is basic information, subscriber information. It needs to appoint a grievance redressal officer. However, when the government says it needs to circumvent or break down end-to-end encryption, it is at that point of time, it is going far ahead from what the laws at present are currently stating. Now, irrespective of our policy positions, irrespective of our stances on privacy, I think we can all agree that what the law says should actually be the government demand. And that is something I just want to put forward on the table right here.
You're saying the government demand cannot exceed what the law in its current form states. I'll get Vineet to respond to that. But before that, Nikhil, coming to you, one option that the government seems to be mulling are fresh, clauses to Section 79 of the IT Act. Guidelines that could come as early as next month is what we're told. And some of these measures, of course, include traceability, appointment of a local grievance officer, 36 hours to remove objectionable content. How effective do you think these measures will be, and can WhatsApp really stick to its current stance if this becomes the law?
Well, the problem here, Sandeep, is that WhatsApp doesn't have access to the content. So I don't know how they can remove it. What happens is the service that when I send a message to you, it is encrypted on my device. It is decrypted on your device. WhatsApp can't read the message. They don't hold the message. So there is no means for them to actually remove the message across the services, because these are locally stored messages. So I'm not sure about how the government intends to actually action this. One point I wanted to just correct, because Mr. Goenka said that WhatsApp should bring in two-factor authentication. I've used WhatsApp payments. It has the same two-factor authentication mechanism that that any other UPI service has. I don't believe they're applying for a payments bank license. I've not heard that before. They're operating on UPI right now. And no entity beyond the first instance of payments bank licenses has been given another payments bank license. On the point of end-to-end encryption, we need to understand that if you introduce backdoors or any mechanism to break encryption in order to bring traceability into the picture, you essentially end up compromising the system itself. What users will do is they'll move to a new platform which is more secure, because they want that security which a platform like WhatsApp gives us. This is by no means am I suggesting that people who are doing something wrong or something illegal should not be caught, but the police needs to find mechanisms of doing that. Blaming the platform is essentially shooting the messenger here, and that's a pun intended, right? I don't think we need to go down that path.
No, Nikhil, one second. Nikhil. No, Nikhil, let me come in. Nikhil. Okay. Nikhil, I think police comes in at a very later stage. We need to address the source of the problem. I think police comes in at a very later stage, and which is why I'm going to move to the privacy part of this question. And Aseem, coming to you, privacy activists feel that, let me just come in. Yeah, one second. Privacy activists, Aseem, feel that any change will impact constitutional rights and the government must hold public consultations before proceeding. Won't this slow down the process at a time when we need to see immediate steps on lynching and fake news? I mean, we can all, and I am the biggest, I embrace privacy the most, but the reality is, look at the cost at which privacy is coming and the kind of fake news messages that get spread all over the place and the impact it's having on civil society.
Yeah, so I'll agree with Nikhil on this part. Because the messages are encrypted on one device and decrypted on the other. For WhatsApp, it's not possible to scan the message and then decide whether it is fake news. But however, as far as the traceability is concerned, I think it is doable. I'm not sure what algorithm they use, but they can meta tag messages and at least trace messages that are blindly being forwarded. So at a time when it comes to a police complaint and they go with the message to WhatsApp, they can at least look at the meta tags of the message to figure out the origin of the message. But that will get complex with how people will forward the messages.
Okay, that's a good point you're making. But Vineet, has the government in some sense put too much onus, the point that Nikhil was making, on social media platforms without outlining how it plans to step up enforcement and rule of law? I mean, the Supreme Court recently spoke about the need for anti-lynching law. So, has the government, is it just trying to shoot the messenger? Is it just trying to pass the buck literally entirely to the social media platforms here?
No, I deliberately gave a short answer when you asked me the first round. Reason because, as I said, everything compulses to one line. They have to follow Indian rules if they want to function within the boundaries of this country. Let me give you some fact. 22 crore users from India. Our social fabric is different. We have a different geopolitics. If a technology service provider is making money here, they are also responsible to give solutions. They cannot be a part of earning their bread here, but contribute to the problems of the country and not give us the solutions. We are not talking about censorship or we are not talking about surveillance. This is about national security. This is about the need for the law and order here. I don't know, these people who are showing concern about WhatsApp's end-to-end encryption, they make noise about Aadhaar, which has an officer, there can be an officer held responsible for their acts. Why can't they have an office here in India? Why can't they comply with the laws here? Why can't they have a data localization here? What is the problem? We give them such a big market. They have to give us traceability. We cannot compromise with lives of our people. We cannot compromise with the social fabric of this country. So I think the government was fair enough to ask them to cooperate, to put a data localization for the payments which is required here, to put an officer here who is responsible for the act. And we also have to know the fact that WhatsApp has been acquired by Facebook. They have to come clean what is the data exchange policy between these two companies, whether they are trying to tag these companies. We have seen Cambridge Analytica, so we cannot just overlook all these kind of things. We cannot become a colony of this kind of companies because we are not vigilant right now. So it is in fact about surveillance, or it is a fact about that we are concerned about what is going wrong here. I think it is we are concerned about what is going wrong here. We cannot be a colony of somebody just because they want to dictate. I would like to remind all the people here, it's about sovereignty about this country, not about the colonization. And I would also request through your channel to some people who would like to advocate closing of Aadhaar, but you know, subscribing to WhatsApp and saying that what we can do if they have this kind of technology. One last line, we can request our agencies like CDOT, CDI to come out with alternate solutions of WhatsApp. And I can tell you, if Dr. Tyagi is watching this channel, and I would request him through your channel, why can't you come out with something like Samvad, this kind of alternate? See, nobody can dictate terms to a country. And my people's security, safety is prime. If they don't want to cooperate with law and enforcement agencies, rather we'll have to take stringent action. I would request WhatsApp again to comply, and it is nothing wrong. And I will also tell last one line. In 2016, last one line, ma'am. 2016, senior executive of Facebook was arrested in Brazil. In 2016, senior executive of Facebook was arrested in Brazil because they did not comply with court orders of sharing the data.
India is not Brazil. There is a rule of law. No.
India. Everybody is concerned.
Vineet Goenka, just give me a minute. Okay, I get that. I'm going to go to Apar. Vineet Goenka, please keep quiet for a minute. I'm going to go to Apar. I agree with some of what you said. I disagree. You could have taken Nikhil Power's name and said when you said in opposition to Aadhaar but in support of WhatsApp. But let me just go across to Apar. And Apar, if you look at the way WhatsApp has evolved, it started out as a text messaging tool that doesn't allow even the most basic monitoring to a social media platform, even though it wasn't designed as one. Now, to quote Vivek Wadhwa, who's a very, very seasoned, respected name in the world of technology, he says if Facebook and WhatsApp are cars, Facebook would be the one without safety belts and WhatsApp the one without brakes. So is the government right in asking WhatsApp to do a little more? You know, if you're going to be in India and look at the market that India has to offer, you've perhaps got to adhere to Indian laws. That's a simple demand that's being made. Apar, what's your view on this?
My view on this is that we have to look at the service with respect to its distinct features, the harms which are arising. So for instance, I agree with Mr. Vineet Goenka on the aspect that there needs to be disclosure how WhatsApp is sharing information with Facebook. In fact, the Internet Freedom Foundation is in fact intervened in the Supreme Court petition, and this is a pending litigation, and WhatsApp does need to disclose what subscriber information it's sharing with Facebook. For instance, a lot of people are now part of groups. That information is available with WhatsApp. The basic information is available with WhatsApp, but WhatsApp is not technically disclosing beyond the end-to-end encryption what information it's holding, how is it sharing it, and how it's impacting users. So this does need to be done. It does need to comply with laws, but then again, what laws are being formed? For instance, one of your co-anchors just said that the IT ministry may come out with updated guidelines on what WhatsApp should do. It should localize data, it should break end-to-end encryption. This should be put through a robust consultation process. There needs to be transparency. Now, as per the reports which have been put out by ET itself, it's stated that this is now being vetted by a law firm and it may be promulgated quite soon. This is not the model we should follow, especially given the large user base of WhatsApp. There are concerns.
I take that point.
It is not as if WhatsApp should not follow laws of India. In fact, it should follow them to the P and the T.
Okay, I take that point, Apar. We've just got 5 minutes on the show, and I've got much ground to cover. Apar, allow me to interrupt you. I'm sorry, we've just got 5 minutes and I've got some more ground to cover. Nikhil, I know you wanted to respond to the point made there by Vineet Goenka. I'm going to let you do that, but I'm slipping in a question. Should the government use payment services approval as a bargaining tool for WhatsApp? Use that to sort of, nudge WhatsApp to do more. I mean, has WhatsApp really fallen foul of the two-factor authentication rule, or are they just paying the price for reacting too slowly to the proliferation of fake news on its platform? Because let's face it, India is, after all, one of its biggest markets with over 200 million users. So the government and the country has leverage.
So I'm going to respond to a different question, Sandeep, because I think one of the points that you raised was the amendment to Section 79, and we need to realize that there are great dangers right now to the safe harbor that all platforms in the country face. You remember a few months ago there was this consultation on online content regulation, which was again looking at the safe harbor which platforms have, news aggregators have. In the e-commerce policy also there is talk of amending Section 79. See this, and now with WhatsApp they're talking about amending Section 79. Section 79 is what protects all internet service providers, all platforms that are merely conduits, means of passing one message to the other. If they have liability attached to the action of just being a delivery mechanism, they will collapse. They will not be, if they're held accountable for the messages that each one of us is sending to everybody else, they will not be able to take that liability. In that sense, the internet will collapse in India. So the government needs to think again before coming in with something like this. They are looking at it from a very minute, narrow perspective, but the dangers of losing safe harbor are very, very high. And using this as a bargaining chip, I mean, that means that sort of gives the perception that there's no predictability in policy making. Something or the other keeps cropping up. There's exceptionalism that's taking place with WhatsApp being targeted here. But on the whole, everyone else is also going to get impacted by this change in Section 79. So we need to have much more thoughtful policy making, give it more time. What is the rush to just start amending things or coming up with regulations? Have a consultative process.
Hold that thought. I'm going to go across to Asim. And Asim, should WhatsApp consider disabling some of its popular features such as group chat till it sorts out the security and safety concerns? Because those are the root cause of, this whole security features that we're talking about. Do you believe it perhaps needs to take a lead in disabling some of those features?
Honestly, no. I mean, this is one of the features which people use mostly, and disabling it just because it's used for spreading fake news or whatever, it's not the right way to go. But I would like to reply to Vineet's comment here when he mentioned about people using WhatsApp and then cribbing about Aadhaar. With WhatsApp, I have a choice whether I want to install it on my phone or not. So the onus is on me. With Aadhaar, they're trying to make it mandatory. So don't make it mandatory. I think people will sort it out. So why push some service when somebody doesn't want it?
But Vineet, I'm going to let you respond to that, but I'm slipping in the last question, running out of time.
That is
how
exactly
far
the mentality which we have.
Yeah, okay, Nikhil. Okay, Vineet, I'm coming to you. Vineet, 1 second. I think Nikhil wants to add a point, and then I'm coming to you for the last word. Yes, Nikhil, what were you saying?
No, I just said that I don't want Aadhaar, and when I don't want WhatsApp, I'll move to some other service. I move from Orkut to Facebook. I don't use Facebook anymore. I move to the next. That freedom to move out should be there. That's
okay.
all. I was just agreeing with the previous
I don't want. Okay, fair enough. I don't want Aadhaar to hijack this debate. So, but Vineet Goenka, how far can the Sri Krishna Committee report on data protection help in reining in social media platforms where hate speech is being spread by, of course, the users? And Germany, for example, approved a law last year against online hate speech with hefty fines for platforms that do not remove such content. So how far can we go now that we will have a framework, with the Sri Krishna panel recommendations?
So not only the Sri Krishna panel discussion or maybe other discussions, probably the technological change which is happening, it's so vibrant that we will have to keep on discussing policies every now and then, keep on adding changes, amending the laws and the policies as the technology changes. Now the days have gone where you can make one policy and forget it for years. So that days have gone. So probably there will be data protection laws have to be brought in, privacy has to be discussed, but at the same time data sovereignty has to be discussed. Data is now oil. You cannot allow them to have and hijack this country. And I feel sometimes sick about but the mentality who believes in the MNCs but do not trust the authorities here, the engineers here, the technocrats here. So my request to these people is, please, data Aadhaar has some kind of sanctity because it's a law. There are people here who can be booked. But WhatsApp is trying to say that we will make money out of you. There is no free lunch and we will not be accountable. Now this cannot be done. There has to be a technological solution. There has to be traceability if you want to function within this country. And there has to be accountability. You will have to put some grievances office here. You will have to put an officer who can be caught when it is required. They have to cooperate with LES. My request to all the panelists and the people who are listening here is, do not believe that we cannot do things. Our engineers and technocrats can create an alternate platform if it is required. And this is a high time we depend on multinationals who want to dictate terms to us.
I take that point. Technology has created some of these problems, and hopefully technology will also find the solution to some of these problems that it has created. On that optimistic note, Apar, Nikhil, Aseem and Vineet, appreciate you taking the time and joining us in the second leg of the India development debate.
Thank you very much for being with us. We take a quick breather, and up next is Top 10 at 10.